We did our triangle blocks, so let's back up and do those center blocks. Hey everyone, Cristin here. I'm in a different space and there's not much furniture in here, so it's echoing, and I just want to apologize up front for that, but I'm just in a different place all this week. So we did our triangle blocks. How did you like those? Oh my gosh, I had memories of the sunflower blocks. Remember the sunflower cuties that had all those cutting? The trees were just like that. They were a little painful, but I got them all done in one day. And I think if you spread it out over 2 days, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. But they are beautiful. They're worth the work. That was the thing with the sunflowers. Like, oh my gosh, they were so much work, but then they're done and they're just beautiful and totally worth it. So I loved these. I love how they came out. Absolutely beautiful. I did the quilting in a light gray so that it stood out a little bit more than the white, and I'm happy with that. I like how the quilting came out, and just, it's beautiful. They're beautiful blocks. So now we get to move on to what we're supposed to do, the starter. So usually we start with those center blocks, but like I said yesterday, I jumped ahead to be able to do the triangle blocks for those that are wanting to get these done quickly. All right, so today we're going to do the center blocks, and it's going to be a little bit different. I'll show you why in just a minute. So grab your packet if you made packets. All right, this one is for our center blocks, and the center blocks are on page 28 of our book, our Cuties booklet. All right, so pull out those supplies and we'll just go over what we need for today. So the first thing is our main fabric. So our main fabric is this green silky solid. There's no design to it. Make sure to back this with fusible stabilizer so that you don't get any puckering. All right, so this is for our main fabric for today, for the center block. So this one, we are going to start with these at 7.5 by 7.5, and you do want 4 of them. We're going to do all 4 blocks today. I'm going to show how to do them in 2 hoopings, if depending on your hoop size, of course, but you can do them as much as 2 in 1 hooping. I don't think you could do more than that, but so 2 hoopings today of 2 blocks each. So 4 blocks total for our main fabric, 7.5 by 7.5, backed with fusible stabilizer. Do you hear Archer sighing? He's so cute. All right, then next up we have shape 1. So there's 4 different shapes. The first one, this is shape 1, and this one is the white with various dots on it, various colored dots, reds and pinks and a little gray, I think. All right, and this one, I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's up to you. I like to do it on my applique pieces. I find it makes it easier to cut, and it lays down nicer and no puckering and the whole bit. So for these, we are gonna have these 4 pieces at 2 by 5, 2 by 5. This is for shape 1, all right? Shape 1, 4 pieces at 2 by 5. All right, and then for shape 2, we are going to have, let me see, red solid, yes. All right, shape 2, 4 pieces. This is a red silky solid, no design on it. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, that's up to you. Same thing, 4 pieces at 2 by 5. 4 pieces at 2 by 5. This is for shape 2. All right, and then we have shape 3. This one is a larger one. This one is, I call it the starburst. I'm sure that's not what they're actually called. I don't know though. Gray with what I call starburst on it. All right, and we want 4 pieces. Again, I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That's up to you. This is an applique piece. We want 4 of these at 5 by 5. 5 by 5 for shape 3. All right, 4 pieces, 5 by 5. All right, and then the last one, shape 4, is the houndstooth. You can see it's that red houndstooth fabric. And again, I backed mine with fusible stabilizer, up to you. This is an applique piece. We're gonna have 4 pieces that are 2.5 by 2.5, all right? 4 pieces that are 2.5 by 2.5. And it is an applique. You can use the sizing that's in the book because it's larger than we're gonna need, and we'll just trim it down. All right, and I'll show, like I have on the other center blocks, that when we trim the block, like when we do the trimming of the applique, and I'll show this in photos, there's parts that we're not going to trim because it's going to go into the seam. And again, I'll show that in the video. Don't worry, I'll point that out. All right, and then we have our batting today. So we have 4 pieces of batting that are 6 by 6. 6 by 6, 4 pieces for our batting for the 4 center blocks that hopefully we can get 2 in one hooping. And then we're going to quilt this with center mistletoe. Center mistletoe, just like the mistletoe that we did on the triangle blocks yesterday, we're going to do the center mistletoe. And there is one that is specific for those with a 5 by 7 hoop, and then there's the larger one. So if you're using a larger hoop, like I'm going to use my 8 by 12, I believe. So just scroll down, don't pick that first one, because the first one that'll come up is the 5 by 5 design. There is a 6 by 6 design in your CD, all right? So center mistletoe is our quilting design. There are special trim instructions. We're basically going to cut just past the tack down line is how I do it. I always measure it though first to make sure it hasn't pulled in. If you're not stabilizing your fabric, you definitely want to measure first to make sure that it's actually the size that it's supposed to be. If I recall, our final cut size is 5.5 by 5.5. And again, if I'm just going to go ahead and cut, it is 5.5 by 5.5, and I'm just going to measure it, make sure it's still 5.5 by 5.5, because if you're not stabilizing, it can pull those stitches in and make the block a little bit smaller. So I'm going to measure it first, and then I most likely, since I'm stabilizing all my fabrics, I will very likely be able to just cut right on that basting stitch, or just past it. I like to do it just past it. All right, so that's what we're going to do today, the 4 blocks. It is the geometric blocks, the center blocks. So one thing is, normally I bring you over to the computer and I'm going to show you how to merge 2 in one hooping, but you know what? We did the same geometric design in September, so I'm actually just going to copy and paste from what I had in September. The only difference will be that September we used center apple as our quilting design, and this one we're going to use center mistletoe, but the process is going to be all the same. So I am just going to cut and paste, save myself a little bit of time. So let's go ahead and get stitching.
Hey everyone, so everyone that has already done the file from September, I'm going to just show you real quick how to change out the embroidery, the quilting part of the design when you've already got the file. And then I'll include the file for those that have not created the file from the start, but for those of us that have it saved from when we did it back in September, I'm just going to show you real quick how to change out that file. So I'm going to open up Embrilliance Essentials, and it shows I'm on my 5 by 7 hoop. I know I need larger, so I'm going to go up to this Preferences folder, and I believe I used my 7 by 12 hoop in September, so I want to use the same. So I clicked on Preferences and then 7 by 12 hoop, and then I'm clicking on this compass button and H for hoop so that it zooms into the hoop. All right, and then I'm going to open up the folder. Let me think. So I've got it over here. I'm going to do it this way. There, you can go to Merge Stitch File and find the folder, or if it's sitting right there looking at you, you can just open it from there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shrink it down a little bit so that I can see my workspace. I should just move my workspace over. There we go. That's easy. All right, and then click on that folder, and I'm going to find the design. So I know it's the September geometric right there. So that's our one from September with that geometric. So I'm just going to click on that and drag it over here. It keeps it on my hard drive, but it also brings it over to my workspace. So I can close that. So you can see that we used the apples design on that one, and we also did a color sort. So I can't change that, but what I can do is I can see in the file. So here's all that placement, tack down, all of that. Let's see, we already started that. Oh, remember, I forgot to mention that we need to move the quilting design to the end. So it's in the original tutorial, but that's where we'll find it. So right there, that's our quilting design, and that's the only part I want to delete. So right now I'm going to just leave it, and I'm just going to show you real quick how to bring in the new quilting design. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, excuse me, and there's the quilting designs. Open up your quilting designs for December right there, centers and triangles December. I believe this is the quilting files. Yep, right there. Okay, so there's our 6x10 center mistletoe. So I'm going to double click on that. It goes to the center, and then I'm going to click on that design, and I'm just going to move it up to have it so you can see the placement and tack down of the original file. And that's why I'm keeping this, so that I can use that as my guide, because all I need is the quilting design, but I can't do an align to distribute once it's already been color sorted. So it's very simple to just line it up. So I'm going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard, and I'm going to move it up to exactly where I can see it underneath this design. All right, so that was super easy. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on that one design that I just brought in. Easiest is to just do it over here because there's so many things over here. So in this little objects panel. All right, I'm going to say Control C, and then I'm going to say Control V so that I have a third one, and then this one it's going to bring it down. And when I say third, it's because we already have it in the original file as well. So again, I'm just bringing it down to where I can see the placement and tack down from September. All right, but I don't need all this placement and tack down again, right? I only need the quilting design. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete the parts I don't need. So I don't need any of that placement and tack down because those are up at the top of the design. So 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, and 2-4, I'm going to click delete. Right there. All right, and then on the third design, same thing. I don't need 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, and 3-4, so I'm going to click delete. Now I still have, look at how busy that is, because I still have the apples from September and the mistletoe for December. So I want to make sure to delete the apples design right there. So I'm going to click on that. For me, it's 118, the 18th part of the design, because it's at the very end of the design, and I'm going to click delete. So these are already at the end of our design, so I don't need to worry about that. All right, I could do a color sort because I think it's going to stop. I'm not absolutely sure since it's the same color. But I could go ahead and I could do a color sort just to make sure that there's no stop there. So I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort. Make sure that before you do your color sort, make sure that those quilting designs are after all of the rest, all right? Because we want it on the top of our design. So you want to make sure that the quilting part is after all of that first design, all right? So I'm going to do a color sort, and it won't actually change the number of designs. See, it says the design page has been sorted but not reduced. That's because these are the same color, so it's not actually sorting it, it's just combining it, if that makes sense. All right, so don't forget that you need to have these same settings. This tolerance is 0 to get the same results. And then I'm going to click New View so I can check it. And now everything's together in one design. So there's our placement of our batting, our tack down of our batting, our placement of the main fabric, our tack down of the main fabric, and then all of the parts of the geometric design. I'll go through all of that. And those are, we already color sorted that, we already joined all of those. And I'll show that at the end of this for those that didn't already do that. But for the rest of us that have the design, we just wanted to add in that quilting and we wanted to make sure it's lined up right. So that was how to do that. Super duper easy. So I'm going to do a save stitch file as, and I'm going to go back to my cuties, embroidery designs, Pez, and I'm going to name this, I think I'll name it 7x12 so I remember what hoop I need, and I'm going to say December center, and you could even say geometric so that you know, but we've already done, we're finished now, this is the last one of the year. So anyway, whatever works for you to remember what your file is, name that and then say save, and I'm going to send it to my machine if it will let me. Let's see. There we go. Great. File sent to machine. For those that don't have that option, you would just save it to a USB stick or transfer it over to a USB stick and bring it to your machine. So that's how to do that, how to just quickly change the quilting design for our December file from our September file, if that makes sense. And then for those that didn't create the September file, I'll go over all of that step by step and I'll add that in as a cut and paste from that previous tutorial. All right, it's time to get stitching our center blocks.
Hey everyone, I'm at my computer now, and for those that want to join two of the designs together, I'm going to show you how to do that. It'll save on time and stabilizer, but you can choose to do all four separately if you prefer. All right, so I am going to open up Embrilliance Essentials. That's the embroidery software that I prefer. And I am on my 8x12 hoop, which is actually what I want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. If you're not on the hoop that you want, go up to this Preferences folder and choose the hoop that you want here. All right, and then say OK. And then you can go to this compass button and click H so that it zooms into the hoop. Now, this one's a little bit different in that we want the quilting on the top, so we will have to have the quilting as the last part of the design, but we want the placement and tack down of the batting and the placement and tack down of the main fabric in the front. So it's just the last part of the quilting design that we want last. So it's going to be a little bit different. We've done this all along so far this year, but just in case, let's go ahead. I'm going to bring in the quilting first. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File. And I'm going to bring in, let's see, the quilting, let's see, September, right there. So third from the bottom, centers and triangles, September. Click on that. And for those using a 5x7 hoop, there's a smaller one. For those using a bigger hoop, you can scroll down a bit and there's a little bit larger one. This is the 6x10 center apple. And notice the only difference, see that we have that placement and tack down of the main fabric. On this one, it's taken off, all right, or partially taken off. So that's the only difference. So they made it so that it'll fit in a 5x7 hoop. So double click on that design. It goes to the center, and I'm going to go ahead, I think I'll just move it up while I'm here. I'm going to click on the design and I'm going to use my arrow keys. When I use my arrow keys instead of my mouse, it keeps the design to the center of the hoop, or to, let me see the black squares here? It will keep it right along that center guide. All right, so that's why I'm doing that. I'm going to move that up as far as I can without it going over the hoop. All right, and then this blue and orange, those will join together. So we need to change that to be able to do a color sort later. So I'm going to click on 1-1 and I'm going to quickly run through these. So click on 1-1, click on the color, and then the first color that comes up for you, for me it's dark aqua because I have Filtec Glide as my preferred thread color, and say OK. All right, 1-2, click on the color, same thing. The first color that comes up, which is Blaze for me. 1-3, click on the color, and the second color, because we already used dark aqua, so the second one for me is Marine. Whatever your color is fine. You just have to keep track of the colors that you've used, and you can see them here. All right, 1-4, click on the color. We already used Blaze, so I'm going to use Oriole. And then 1-5, click on the color, and the first color is Sprout. All right, so that's all done. Very easy. I'm going to go ahead and click. I clicked outside so that nothing was selected, and then I'm going to click on the design so that all 5 parts are selected. If you were to do a copy and paste before clicking outside the workspace, then you would have just had the last one that you changed the color on. So this 5th part, we want all 5 parts of the quilting. So I'm going to say Control C to copy it, and then Control V like victory to paste. And you can see here that now we have 2 designs. It doesn't look like it because it's on top of the first one, but it's there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard to move it down as close to the bottom as possible without going over the hoop. All right. And those are done. So those are all ready with all the different color sorts, or with the different colors that we use so that we can do a color sort later. All right, now I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to bring in the embroidery design. So I'm going to close up that part, July, December, right here, embroidery files. Pez is what I use for my machine, and we are looking for geometric, it's called, right there, 5x7 geometric. Double click on that, it will go to the center. Now notice it's got these gray lines. See these gray lines here? That is going to be really helpful. We actually won't even need to do a center or a line to distribute because we've got those guides. So we can just use that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the design. It will get all of the parts of this design when I click on that, and I'm going to move it up. Now our guide, this gray line here, we want it on the outer part of our quilting. That outer part is the placement and tack down of the main fabric. So we want it to line right up with that on both, all the way around. So on the top and on the bottom, we want that lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and use my arrow key so that it stays in the center, and I'm just going to line it up with that line that outer part of the design. So once I think I've got it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this compass button, and I'm going to move this crosshair to where I can see that line, and then I'm just going to zoom in with my mouse, and you can see we're right on that line. That's perfect. So if I go back to the compass and bring it up to the top here, to that other gray line, there it is. So the gray line on the outer part, see, this inner part is the placement and tack down of the batting, and this outer part, it's 1/4 inch further, is the placement and tack down of the main fabric. So when I say the outer part, it's the farthest point of that quilting design, and that's what we're lining up that placement guide. So that was super easy. I can use my mouse button to scroll out, or I can go up to this compass button and click H, and you can see that that's lined up perfectly. That was super easy to do with those placement guides there. All right, so before we do a copy and paste, because we need one down here as well, but look at all these blues and oranges again, and a couple of brunettes too. We want to make sure to change those colors so that we can do a color sort, and we have to keep in mind the colors that we already used also. So I'm going to go ahead and click outside of the workspace. You can do it inside of this objects folder, or you can do it in this pink part of the workspace. It doesn't matter. Just click outside so that they're not all selected. And then we're going to select on the first one, which is 3-1. That is the first part of our geometric design. All right, so 3-1, click on the color. We know that we use dark aqua and marine, or whatever your first two colors were. We use that for our quilting design. So I'm going to go down to the third color, which is for me Hawaiian blue, and say OK. And then 3-2, click on 3-2, part of the design, and then click on the color, and same thing. We used Blaze and Oriole, so I'm going to use the third color down for me, which is Coral. All right, and then navy, when I click on it, it's going to give me that same navy, but it will be in not the default navy. So you can do that or not do that. Since I'm already here, I'm going to go ahead and just do all of them. That gives me the best results. So, all right, 3-4, click on the color. So our last one, you can see it right up here. Our last one was Hawaiian blue. So I'm going to use the fourth color down for me as Mercury, and say OK. And then 3-5, click on the color. I want the fourth color down, which is Lava for me. All right, and then 3-6, Brunette. I'm going to click on that, and the first color that comes up is Brunette, so I'm going to keep that. Look at how funny. There's only one T here, but there's two T's on this. I think it is supposed to have two T's, but anyway. Click on that. All right, so 3-6, I have Brunette, and then 3-7, we're back to those blues. Click on the color, and I want the fifth one down this time, so that will be Tropical for me. And then 3-8, click on the color. I want the fifth one down, which is Strawberry Blonde, like my son. All right, and then 3-9, click on the color. We already used Brunette, and we don't want these to join, so we're going to click on the color and go down to the next color down, which is Dark Brown for me. Whatever color it is for you, you just don't want those to join. All right, and then 3-10, back to those blues. So I think we want the sixth one down now, which is for me Robin Egg. Say OK. Yeah, there's that Tropical. I'm just checking here to make sure we're right on the colors. All right, 3-11, click on the color. I want the sixth one down, which is Autumn for me. All right, and then there's that Brunette again, so we want a different color than what we used earlier so that they don't join. So we already did Brunette and we did Dark Brown. You can see them right here, so I'm going to use the third color down, which is Chocolate for me. And then this gray, that's the one that we're not going to use. We're going to bypass it, but it was really helpful to use to line up our design. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and the first color that comes up is Medium Gray, and say OK. All right, so those are all done. Now remember, you want to click outside of the workspace, because right now we just have the 13th part of the design selected, and so we want to be able to select them all. So the easiest way to do that, in my opinion, you can click on the title of the third design, and that gets all of the parts. All right, so Control C to copy, and then Control V like Victory to paste, and you can see that now we have 4 designs. It doesn't look like it because it's right on top of that one, but we're going to go ahead and move it down. I'm using the arrow key on my keyboard, and again, we're going to line up. I'm going to stop to show you this gray line here. That's that placement guide, and we're going to line it up with this outer line here, right here. All right. and we can check it when we think we've got it right. All right, so now I can go ahead and bring that crosshair down here, and then I can use the mouse button to zoom in or zoom out, and look at, we're right on it. So that's great. I'm going to check it up above just to make sure. Yep, right on it again. See, great. Those placement guides are very helpful. All right, so I'm going to click on this compass and click on H so that it zooms back out. I'm going to click outside of the workspace because right now we've got this fourth design selected. All right, so nothing is selected right now. I'm going to close up these designs so that I can see them all. All right, now this is great, but on this design, this geometric center design, we want the quilting on the top, but we want the placement and tack down of the batting and the placement and tack down of the main fabric on the bottom. So we need to move just the quilting part of the design. The quilting is always the fifth step. When I open up this first one, I can show you. Here's the placement of the batting, tack down of the batting, placement of the main fabric, tack down of the main fabric, and there's our quilting design. So I only want those two parts. If I try to say move to last, it's still going to stay within that first design. So it's not going to move it to the bottom. So the workaround that I have found, I'm going to click outside of this. I am going to say File, New Page to open another page, and you can see it brought in another tab, and it's empty right now. So I'm going to go to Untitled 1, and I'm going to click on all of these. I could just click on, let me think. I'm going to go ahead and click on all of them. And I'm going to say Control C. So what I did is I clicked down from the bottom and I dragged up. That's the easiest way that I found to be able to select them all. And then Control C to copy. And I'm going to go to Untitled 2, this empty tab, and I'm going to say Control V like victory so that they're all there now. So now I have those same designs. I've got them in Untitled 1 and I have them in Untitled 2. All right. So let's see, I want to do a color sort, but I have to bring that quilting design out first. So what I'm going to do, let's see here, if I think about this, I'm going to go ahead on Untitled 2. It doesn't matter really which one, but we want to keep it clear for everybody. So I'm going to click on this fifth part. So I opened up this design. All right, open up that first design, click on 1.5, and I'm going to say delete. All right, and then I'm going to open up the second design, and same thing, I'm going to click on 2.5, just 2.5, just that part that has the quilting, and I'm going to click delete. All right, so then I still have the placement and tack down of our main fabric and our batting, and I've got the arrow designs, all of that is all good, but I don't have the quilting. So I'm going to go ahead, let's see, I can go to Untitled 1, so that was in Untitled 2. You can see that they're not there. Untitled 1 has them all. So what I can do is I can open up, I'm going to click on just those parts. So if I open up 1 and 2, click on the 1.5 and then click Control and click on 2.5. So I have just those two parts selected, and I'm going to say Control C, and I'm going to open up Untitled 2. Do I still have you with me? I have these two quilting designs selected, and to do that you have to hit the Control button to be able to click on two designs. Now I'm going to open up Untitled 2 tab, and I'm going to say Control V, and it should bring them to the bottom. All right, so see, then we have, let me just run through these real quick to show you. So we have most of the quilting parts, that placement and tack down parts of 1 and then 2, and then we've got the 2 geometric arrows, and then we have those quilting designs. And since we did it copy and paste from that first one, it goes to the exact same area so that now they're on the bottom. When the designs are on the bottom, that means it'll be on the top. It'll be the last thing that we do, so we'll be able to do the quilting on top of the entire appliques and all of that. All right, I hope that makes sense. Now we still have to do our color sort. We've got 36 color steps, but we have these in the right area. You have to make sure before you do a color sort, you always want to make sure that you've got your designs exactly where you want them, because once you do a color sort, it's going to go from 6 designs down to 1 design, and then you won't be able to move the parts of it. All right, so make sure that you've got your boxes as you want them, your two designs exactly how you want them. Make sure that your quilting is the last two steps, and then we'll go ahead and run a color sort. So right now we have 36 color steps. So I'm going to, and I'm on Untitled 2. I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort. And like I've said in lots of videos, make sure that you've got the same settings as me to get the same results as me. So I've got this RHS pre-sort is not selected, force applique, position and material are not selected, tolerance is at 0. All right, that's very important to be able to get the same results that I'm getting. So it says it's reduced it by 17 color changes. So now I'm going to click New View, and I'm going to have Untitled 1, Untitled 2, which is the one that we were working on, and then we'll have Untitled 3. And in Untitled 3, we'll have just one design, all of 6 parts in one design. So New View, and see it opened up a third tab, and everything's in one design now. And I'm keeping those other tabs so that if anything didn't work the way that I think it should, then I can go back to that first tab, or to the second tab actually. So I'm going to click on this little plus sign, and then I can run through it real quick and just make sure everything's right. So there's our placement for our batting on both blocks, our tack down of our batting, our placement of the main fabric, our tack down of the main fabric, and then we run into all these parts, and we just want to make sure that they're together from the first design and the second design, that those are grouped together. And so far it's perfect. We're on 10 now. I'm scrolling down, and then 11, 12 all together, 13 is together, 14 is together, 15, they're both together, and you can see because it's selected. All right, and then 16, scroll down again, and those are those placement guides that we will not stitch these, we will bypass these. And then there's our quilting design. So this worked out perfectly, very easy to do. We've got both of these already, and so now I'm going to do a file, save stitch file as, and I'm going to name this I'm in my Falling for Autumn. Check and see where you are. So I was working on Falling for Autumn recently, so that was the first thing that comes up when I did a save as. I want to make sure to move the folder or move the design to the folder I'm thinking of. So I have my Cuties on my desktop, and let's see, so Cuties table topper right there, and embroidery files, and there's the quilting. So I'm going to go to embroidery files. Pez is what I use for my machine, and now it's just asking what do you want to name it. So I'm going to say geometric times 2. You can also put the size of your hoop if you need to remember that. Whatever's going to help you to remember the name of your file. So geometric times 2 works well for me. I'm just going to save that. Make sure to do a save as. Don't forget, always do a save as. Otherwise it saves over the first thing you brought in, and you want to do a save as so that it's creating a second file. All right, so that's all ready. I don't have my machine on, so I can't send it to my machine. If you don't have a wireless ready machine, you can just save it to a USB stick. I've shown on lots of videos how to do that very, very simply. And then you would bring your USB stick over to your embroidery machine. So we're all ready. Let's go ahead and get started with our center blocks. And my shirt today, this is a really fun one. So my grandson really likes Yetis. One of my grandsons really likes Yetis. So I made this last year. It says Yeti for Christmas. It was a Hoop Mama design, and if I have it still, if I have a link to it, I will add it in underneath this video. The design, the shirt it's actually a sweater, is from Amazon, and it's a really good one. I bought another one to embroider on, and I haven't done it yet. But it's a fun design with the zipper down the side here, plenty of area for stitching on, a little kangaroo pocket and a hood. Very cute design. So if you're interested in the shirt to be able to embroider for yourself, I will add a link here from Amazon. It comes quickly. It's a great shirt. I really like this one, and it was super easy to stitch on as well. I'll add all the information underneath this video with direct links as well. And how are you doing with your goal? Don't forget, I'm counting on you for your goal this time because I'm really not working mine. I have kind of a weird week this week, and so I am not, plus it's awful outside, like awful. It's rainy, and we're getting snow again tomorrow, and it's icky. So no hikes, no bike rides, nothing like that, but I do have indoor equipment, and so I hope to use that soon. And tomorrow there's a class. I might try and go to that class that my bike club goes to Pivot to do a cycling class, so I might try that tomorrow if I have time, if I get caught up on this project. But anyway, so in the meantime, I'm counting on you. I did go for a walk with my dogs last night, but that was it. That was the extent of my exercise yesterday, or strength building. There's just like nada. So my friend Cristin came over yesterday though, and we actually embroidered a shirt together. That was really fun. She made a couple of shirts for her nieces, and I made one for myself. It was pretty fun. It's a shirt that I had bought before that I've been waiting to embroider on. So it was fun just to get a little time off, relaxing time, even though I'm having a busy week. And so it worked out really well. So I'm going to just put my head down today and work hard. So it's up to you to get your goal done and tell me about it.